Welcome to Unfuck Your Legal Marketing, the show where we get brutally honest about marketing, business, and the messy middle of making it all work. I'm Gary Johnson, marketing coach, strategist, and professional BS detector for attorneys and business owners who are tired of doing what everyone else does. Around here, we skip the fluff. We have real conversations, real insights, and maybe a few F-bombs along the way. So let's get into it. Today, I'm joined by my friend, John Siracusa, who is the founder of Listen Deck and a podcast strategist who has produced, get this, more than 5,000 audio and video podcast episodes. They're all for B2B executives across a range of industries. And John believes that the best podcasts aren't just professionally produced, but they create trust. They build meaningful connections and ultimately lead to real business opportunities. So today, we're talking about why podcasting has become one of the most valuable marketing assets attorneys can invest in, how to use a podcast to strengthen relationships and build authority, and what separates podcasts that drive business from those that simply create content. So, John, welcome to Unfuck Your Legal Marketing.
Hello, sir. How are you today?
I am so good. I am so looking forward to this because you being from that wonderful state that you're from, I'm sure the swear words are just going to be coming out, So let's get started with you. And you produced more than 5,000 podcast episodes, which is, for me, I just can't even wrap my brain around that. But after working with so many business leaders, what would you say separates the podcasts that generate real business from the ones that don't?
The ones that clearly understand one thing, who they're actually trying to connect with. It's so crazy. Like, one of the biggest things that I think, one of the biggest problems with podcasting is actually two things. The first thing is people don't understand the model of it, which makes it so damn confusing. Because there's one model where you get sponsors and advertising. The second model is someone pays you $1.99 per episode. The third one is you're trying to create business opportunity or driving awareness. And the problem is this. The first two models, unless you're famous or have been doing it for 10 years, good luck. It's not going to work, or you're going to spend a lot of money and time to actually hope to get lucky, right?
Yeah.
The third model is where most people lie, which is creating business opportunity or trying to drive awareness for something. And in that case, you don't need to be famous. You don't need 1 million downloads. You don't need 1,000. You don't need 10,000. Let's talk about it this way. We're improvisers, right? We all know we're improvisers. We understand the value of having a great referral source, right? Someone who sends you referrals, right? Now, let's just say you have a podcast and you have one download in your podcast, but that one download is a referral source who sends you 3 customers a month.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's just imagine this way. You double your audience to 2. You get 6 customers a month, then 4. And then you get the numbers, the math starting getting beyond me now. So, but essentially But that's the difference is this. It's like, who gives a shit if you have 1 million, right? Who gives a shit? If you literally have 4 referral sources listen to your podcast and then you download it, the problem is this. Most people can only measure likes, shares, views, comments, all the stuff that is easy to measure with technology, right? So you have all these people measuring with technology. You have a marketing department that says, 4 downloads. We really got to broaden the spectrum of the podcast. We get a larger audience. We need to do that. And then you end up making a fucking podcast for nobody, right?
Yes.
And then,
yes.
And so first off is they understand the model. They understand what model they're in, right? The second thing is they understand who they're trying to attract and to connect with. And the third thing is they don't build an experience that bores the shit out of everybody, right? Because there's 4.5 million podcasts, 500,000 are only active, 90% don't make it to episode 3. The reason being is because they usually suck, they're boring, or they don't attract the wrong audience. Or they attract the wrong audience. So if I could add another point, what makes it great? So let's just say if I'm a personal injury attorney, right? I'm a personal injury attorney and I had some great outcomes for customers. And I'm like, you know what? Or you know what I mean, right? So people that you represented in court, right?
Yep.
And so
your clients.
I say, you know what? Clients. Yes. So I want to, you know what I want to do is I want to create a podcast to share their stories, right? And then I want people out there to hear these stories. And they're like, oh my God, this guy's so smart. I'm going to hire him. He's going to help us get an outcome. No, they don't give a shit. And not only do they not give a shit, no one's going to even notice. There's 4.5 million podcasts. Only 500,000 are active. So it means you have a teardrop in an ocean. So even if people would possibly kind of give a shit about those stories, they're never going to hear them anyway, right?
Yeah.
And so then I would go to that same personal injury attorney and ask them, how do you typically get customers? Do they just accidentally fall upon you and say, you know what? I want to hire this guy. No, actually, most of my customers come from referrals from other attorneys. Okay. So why don't you build a fucking podcast for them?
Totally.
Right? And so, and that's the difference, right? So they understand, like, who gives a shit about a bigger market when you can get the right market, right?
Yeah.
And so going back to that point, even if the person or the attorney gets it right, they create an experience that bores the shit out of everybody. And so even if they did care, they can't care because it's so boring. It's so boring. And everybody thinks, topic, smart. First thing everybody said when they started a podcast, what are we going to talk about, right? And the second thing is, who are we going to have on as guests? Because they hope, for one thing, they're creating a podcast for themselves. So that's what are we going to talk about? And they want to have guests with 10 bajillion followers, because if you have 10 bajillion followers, you get 1%. That makes a big difference, right? No, it doesn't fucking work that way. Nobody gives a shit. And so they end up creating a podcast that's boring. Nobody gives a shit. So the ones that work are the ones that understand the market, have the patience and I guess the courage to be okay with 1 download or 2 downloads or 5, right? And not getting stuck in the more is better, because it is not better. More is not better. Yeah. And so the ones that understand that and then create an experience that activates those people that they give a shit about. And then just being able to stick up to your marketing department. They say you only have 4 downloads. Yeah, those 4 downloads make me X amount of $100,000 a month. So I don't give a shit.
Yeah, because I think you make a great point. What's the point? Is the point to build those referral sources and get business? That's what you should be measuring, not the how many likes. Now, wouldn't you also say that those vanity metrics are sometimes good because you have some podcasts that do extremely well, other podcasts that don't do so well, and you can go, okay, why did that one do so well and these other ones haven't done so well? I mean, is there anything to that within podcast?
So do you mean within your own episodes? Is that what you're asking?
No.
Or you mean like 2 different podcasts?
Like, so let's say that I'm doing a podcast on a weekly basis and I'm tracking it.
By the way, I would listen to that shit all day long if you did.
You would?
Yeah, I would listen all day.
Well, I do that, you fucker. So anyways, so let's say that I'm looking back on the last quarter and I see one of those episodes has, a ton of engagement on it. Is there any value to go back to that and go, okay, why do I think that did so well so I can learn to become better? Or is it just kind of like, it's okay, just keep on plugging forward?
So that's another confusion point as well. What the hell to measure? And here's the problem, right? So most of the time, like if you have 57 diseases, it's really hard to figure out which one's going to kill you, right? And this is the problem with metrics, because people, they want to get more numbers. They want to share. They want to advertise. They want LinkedIn. They want YouTube. They want all these big fucking numbers. And what ends up happening is that their metrics are worthless because they have no idea what they're doing. So I have a podcast with improvisers, right? I created a podcast with improvisers. It's unlisted on YouTube. And people listen like, why the fuck would you put your podcast on YouTube unlisted? Unlisted means, for everybody who doesn't know, it means that you need a link in order to find it. You can't just accidentally fall. And I do that on purpose because the thing is, I made it for provisor members, not for general public, right? And so I want to know, if I go to a group meeting or I go to a troika and I mention my podcast, I can see how many downloads I get. And that means something because now it's a very specific group of people, improvisers. Yes. And not only that, now I can see how long they stay in the episode. Do they listen to the end? Do they stop in the middle? Do they quit at 5 seconds? Because, if you attract 1 million people on YouTube that don't give a shit about you, you may get 1 million views, but then your average time on episode is going to be 50 seconds or 30 seconds or 20. And then you have no idea, is it a good episode? Do people give a shit about it? So to answer your question, you need the right metrics. You really do in order to make it make sense, right? Yeah. And it's hard. And sometimes you have to close it off in order to get those right metrics. So if you understand to not give a shit about big fucking numbers, then you might actually be able to measure something that's meaningful.
Oh my God. I love that, because I think most of the time people are not doing a podcast because they're not famous, they're not well known. They've got brilliance in their head, but they're like, but what if I do it and nobody shows up? And I love what you had said is they need to be consistent. They need to be patient. Just keep doing it. And like, I've only done, 30 some episodes.
You have a podcast?
Fuck you. But I look back on my first podcast compared to how I'm doing it now, and it's different.
Of course.
You just constantly are improving because you're doing it again and again. So if you're an attorney who's thinking about doing a podcast and you think you're going to be perfect right off the bat, you're not. Even if people say, oh my God, you'd be great for doing a podcast, which is great. However, don't think you're going to be perfect. Don't think that you're going to be like, oh my God, I don't have 1,000 downloads. I'm a piece of shit. Like, you're not. You just keep putting out valuable stuff. And especially if you understand what model you want, who is the individual that you're trying to connect with, because that helps you with your people that you're interviewing, but it also helps out staying really connected. Because I had a, and it's funny that you brought personal injury attorney up. I had a personal injury attorney that I knew that would talk about personal stuff. And he would ask people, it was almost like a therapy session, tell me about you and what are your favorite things to do. And it was, in one aspect, it was fairly interesting if the person was interesting, but I'm like, but what's my point? Why do I want to keep coming back to this? Right. And it just goes, what are you doing? Really, what are you doing? And he was a really popular guy too. And you know what? After about 6 months, guess what happened? I'm not doing it anymore because he wasn't getting any business from it. Like, yeah, you aren't. And what you had said is so brilliant. Who are your referral sources? If they're attorneys, then put out content for that. Interview other attorneys who refer you business. Talk about, the different stuff. Interview like stuff that is going to make them smarter, and that's a very, very valuable thing. And I love the fact that you've got a podcast for provisors that's unlisted too. How do you typically get or decide on your guests for that?
So I actually go through a lot of different conversations because I focus on quality, not quantity. What I mean by that is this. I had the same fucking, oh my God, I could do more. Once a week, twice a week. I could do, whatever. And so everyone asks, how long should an episode be? How many times should you do it? Should you do it once a month, once a lifetime, once a week? And so all that kind of comes together when you understand who you're trying to attract. So I'm trying to, literally, what I utilize it for is not to gain an audience. I don't give a shit about gaining an audience. I just want people, improvisers, when they see the episodes, watch the episodes, they get to know, like, and trust me more. The people I have on as guests, they get to know, like, and trust them more. That's the whole point of it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to scale up the relationship just a little bit. Not like I'm trying to get 10,000 provisor members to find it and fall, and then whatever, become subscribers. So if you see my episodes, they have 56 downloads, they have 110, they have Jamie Christensen, someone we both know very well. Her episode has 256. But the point is, that's 256 provisor members, not 256, my mother's one of them kind of people, right?
Of course she is.
So
my mom's not, by the way.
Yeah. Yours
she's
or
dead.
mine?
Mine's dead.
All
so
right.
she's
Thanks.
not a subscriber.
Now you made me feel like shit. I just made a joke about your mom.
I didn't make you feel like shit. You did that all on your own.
You just brought the shit out of me. I got you. Thank you.
That's right.
So I talk to a lot of different people. And the one thing is I focus on quality, not quantity. So I don't do a 52 episode series. It's 6 episodes, right? And I had a lot of different conversations because I like conversations where they're real, that we're really vulnerable. People don't understand the definition of vulnerable. Like, I actually talk about therapy. I was abused as a kid, those types of things. I had brain surgery, all these little things that I went through in life, I share. The reason why I share them is because I want people to feel comfortable having a conversation as well.
Yes.
A lot of people think when, you want to give vulnerability to someone, you can force it. It's like, so Gary, tell me about your childhood. It's like, what the fuck is that? Right? So how do I find guests is people that I vibe with, like people that I feel comfortable with, people that I feel comfortable with me. Because the thing is this, everybody in Provisors knows their shit. That's why they're here.
Yep.
They're not here because they got lucky and they fell into it and they have no idea what the fuck they're doing. They know their shit. So that's a basic thing. But on my show, they're also human beings too, as well. And so I like to find people who are comfortable being human beings. And we have just real conversations. I'm not interviewing them. We're having a conversation, right? Sharing stories about myself. They're sharing stories about themselves. Because the whole point of the podcast is to get all the Provisor members to know us, to like us, and trust us just a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can't be at every meeting. I guest about 20, 25 times a month.
Jesus.
And I would go to your group more often, asshole, but you're fucking unlisted. You do in person mostly, so I can't do that.
Come to the West Coast.
Yeah, I'll do that every month. Yeah. So it's meant to just scale up a little bit to build relationships and build trust and build. And so with that understanding of it, I find guests who allow us to have a real conversation. Right?
Yeah.
They know their shit.
Which is powerful. Yeah, because
it's very powerful.
I remember you're a genius at this because you do allow people, you hold space for people in a very powerful way. I remember the first time that I had listened to and watched Jamie's, and that was a powerful episode. And I think you've got a gift of making people feel comfortable so that they will be that vulnerable with you. Because you're right, you can't force it out, and I'm sure you get this a lot. Is I don't know what it is about you, John, but I can tell you anything. Like, because you're safe, right? And truly that is a huge compliment because I have seen and heard people talk about you and it's never that guy. I don't know about him.
You obviously haven't talked to my wife then.
Yeah, you're right. Or your kids. Yeah. But I mean, that is a genuine thing that also is something attorneys need to be thinking about, when they're doing their podcasts is how are we connecting with our person, the person who we're interviewing, how do we connect with them? Because the stiffer they are, guess what? It's going to be boring, so you got to lighten it up a little bit, how do you recommend like your clients, because you're a great producer, you do podcasts, but you're also a producer. How do you get them to lighten up or get that guest to be comfortable?
So one of the first things I do before I work with somebody is this, a lot of people think they need to sound perfect. If I say all the right words in the right way, people are going to think I'm smart, right? And so they think about thought leadership, they hear about thought leadership and blah, 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 blah. I could tell you that today, how AI really affected podcasts is thought leadership is almost bullshit. What I mean by that is this, right? So I have a podcast. Let's say I have a new podcast. It's on the meaning of life. I am talking about the meaning of life on my podcast. I have the keys to unlimited free energy, right? You see my post on LinkedIn. You're like, oh my God, the keys to unlimited free energy. My fucking electric bill is $1,000. I would love that, right? Yeah. And let me check out the podcast. You click on it, like, so, today you can actually pull protons out of the air. And that now you can now if that's a podcast, can you listen to that? Even I'm telling you how to make free unlimited energy. So you know what you do? You say fuck this. You download my transcript. You upload a ChatGPT, and you say give me the 3 to 5 points in this podcast. And now I'm no longer a thought leader. You don't even know what the hell I am. Yeah, right? I'm a data point for you. So what's the point, right? So thought leadership and podcasting is okay. Okay, gotcha. I understand your point. But it's not as worthwhile as people think. And this is another thing too. Podcasting, although most people think this, it is not really content marketing, right? The base level is you have to know what the hell you're talking about. You have to actually be smart. But you have to be someone that people actually like too. And you have to be interesting. If you're boring, it doesn't matter what you share. The words that you say doesn't matter because people, and I'm sure everyone's heard this, people will not remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. That's Maya Angelou, right? Yeah. And so that's it, right? And so make people feel like, be yourself, be a human being so they actually like you. Because if they like you, then they will listen to you. If they don't like you, they will download your transcript, upload it to ChatGPT, and say, I don't want to listen to this fucking guy because he's boring the shit out of me. So just tell me what's the smart shit that he said so I can do it.
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
So if somebody is a monotone, no personality, would you either A, don't do a podcast, or they need to get voice lessons?
So a lot of
or
people,
C,
or C,
which is none of the above.
A lot of people misunderstand one thing. Like you watch someone on YouTube and you see they're smart at business or whatever it is, right? And you're like, oh my God, that guy's so, I gotta do what he does, right? And they're like, but the one thing they don't fucking understand is that although that guy is or gal is special at something, you have special about yourself that person cannot do at all. And so they don't understand themselves. They don't understand what's great about what actually makes them interesting, because, you know, you got to business not because you're smart, not just because you're smart. People actually like you and they gave you a leg up for whatever reason that is. So why does somebody actually like you, right? And so you have to, if you understand that, then you're clear enough to say, okay, I'm fucking boring. No one's going to listen to what I'm saying. So I need to get a co-host who actually is fun, right? And so we can work off each other, right?
Yeah.
And so, or maybe, you know, I don't know, I do compliance and compliance is boring as shit. I could I could read a 1,000-page document on my podcast, or I could turn it into like a game show and make it more fun that way. So you have to understand the strengths and weaknesses of what you have. And when you understand and see it that way, then you can create something that people actually give a shit about. Because honestly, people give you business not because you're boring. They give it to you because they like you, right? And if they like you, why do they like you? And if you create an experience for them, then that's it. So totally nobody's too boring to have a podcast. You might be too boring to do a podcast the way you think you should do it, but it doesn't mean you're too boring to do a podcast.
I love how you're pulling out their strengths out of them so that they can maximize it. And they're going to feel more comfortable doing that. They're like, yeah, of course, this is it. Like, okay, as opposed to I need to be somebody else. Like, right. And that is just the
imposter syndrome.
Kill me now, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
You hate it. Everybody who listens to you hates it. Yeah. Why the fuck do it then? Be yourself.
Totally, because everybody realizes that authenticity and they're like, there's something fake about this. Or they won't even say that. They'll just go, I'm not sure about this. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. And it's like, yeah, because the person is not this, you know, and then you meet them in person and you're like, holy shit, you are not this person. I thought you were this character here and you're actually this individual, or vice versa. And you're like, why?
Gary, this world forces you to become a way that you think you should be, right? And this is the same thing with the more numbers, more analytics. We need more. And then you start to forget who you are, right? Yeah. And then you start to try to do something to sound smart, sound great, sound like a podcaster should sound, right? Yeah. You Google and say, what should a podcaster sound like? And you get 7,000 fucking pages to tell you what a podcaster should sound like, right? And then you say, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And then your best friend, dude, you got to do this on your podcast. So like, if you're not doing this, you have to show a clip up front. You have to do 7 seconds because attention spans, nobody has it. If you're trying to stop scrolls, by the way, that's stupid. Because if these people, they don't give a shit about you and you're trying to stop scroll, they're watching like, I don't know, shit that's inappropriate and dogs and whatever. Yes. Like, do you think they give a shit about whatever the hell you're talking about?
So if somebody, let's say an attorney, wants to start a podcast, and they understand the model that they really want to do. They understand who they're going to connect with. They know they aren't going to be boring. They know who their guests could potentially be. They think to themselves, I've got the patience. I know that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So I need to be patient with it. Where should they start? And I'll just tell this to all the attorneys out there that are like, hey, I think I should do this. You need to have a conversation with John, because obviously you can tell the guy knows what the hell he's doing, but also he can give you some different ideas. He can help you think outside the box, because you're in this box and you need that third party that can kind of pull you up and go, let's look at this in a different way. That may be like, holy shit, that is really good. Where should they start? You know, should they have that conversation with somebody like yourself? Should they just go, okay, I'm going to open up Riverside, and just start doing it, for a little while, then like hire somebody like you.
So Gary, you said I think if I understood the question correctly, is like if they decide they should start a podcast,
yes,
what's the first thing to do? Okay.
Yep.
That's the first thing is, do they want to start a podcast? Is the first question, right? If you don't want to start a podcast, you know what other lawyers are doing, other attorneys are doing, or my mom said, or my marketing department said. If that's the reason why you're starting it, you're never going to be great at it because you don't give a shit about it, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So number one is, do I actually want to do this?
Yep.
And if you don't. Because look, just because everybody has a podcast, it doesn't mean that that's the way for business, right? You have to have content marketing. You have to do this. You have to do an email campaign. You have to do a newsletter. You have blah, 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 blah. You have to do this shit. Why? Being strategic doesn't mean doing everything. It means doing something really, really well. That's why attorneys stand out, because they're really, really good at what they do. Very, very good. And sometimes they're so niche that it's so very specific that they say no to most of their potential clients because they become very good at something. But that's what makes them great. That's their strength. So the first question is, do I want to do a podcast? If the answer is no, don't fucking do it.
Yeah. Right.
That's it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then
you say, okay, I do actually want to do it. And then the hardest part, but this is the hardest part. You can come up with a strategy, but I got to attract these types of people. I sold a podcast with this. I'm going to create this experience. This is awesome. Great. There's so many tools to be able to do that.
Yes.
And then you press record, and then suddenly you're like, so today we have Bob Smith, blah, 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 smart fucking guy, smart, great person. And, I'm John Siracusa. I'm very smart at what I do too as well. And you're all nervous. And now you're not having fun anymore. This is now you're being not yourself. Yeah. So when the recording starts, all the strategy in the world goes to shit. Once you press record, everything goes to shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The hardest part, I could tell you, the hardest part of a podcast is getting other people to give a shit about it. And the second thing is to get yourself comfortable being yourself. Because you know what's going to happen? Your marketing department is going to say, 4 fucking downloads. Why are we doing this for, right? Yeah. And then you're going to say, these other attorneys will be like, dude, you got to do this. And then you press record and suddenly the record button. And then your guest is like, oh my God, I got to sound smart because this guy's the head of whatever the fuck he's the head of, right? Yep. Or she's the head of. And then you have all this thing and you're beating the shit out of yourself and you're not being yourself. And then suddenly it sucks. And you're like, it doesn't work. I tried that way too. It doesn't work. Number one is really honestly, just find a way to feel comfortable being yourself. That's hard. And that's what I spent a lot of my time doing as a producer. It's not the technical shit, although that's important. And it's not the editing part, which is actually very important. Mm-hmm. Is to let people understand, dude, be yourself.
Yeah.
Just be you. And you know what? My job as a producer is to remove all the obstacles within a recording to make sure that the people feel comfortable with themselves. So preparing guests. I do sound checks and video checks ahead of time, not because I technically want it to be great. It's so that they're comfortable. Because the worst thing you can do in a podcast is you come on and Gary, we're talking right now. I'm like, Gary, can you hear me? Gary, is this working? And I can't hear you. Can you do me a favor? Check it. And then that kills the conversation before it even starts. Right?
Yeah. There's no flow, right? This is like,
now you're flustered, your head's fucking burning, and you're like,
and both people are burning, right? They're like, oh shit, is this working? Is it not? The doubts are going in their head. Instead of having that conversation, they're thinking about the technical aspect of it.
Right. And now they're pissed off.
Yeah.
And
that's happened to me.
And a lot of people, they do another mistake is, you have a fucking meeting right before and we're meeting right after the podcast. And so you're in this flow and you're done. You're mentally like your last call was heated or whatever it may be. And then now you're done. You have to be yourself.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part. So first step is trying to figure that out for yourself. I usually help people figure that out. Yeah. But if you don't have me, then you have to figure out how to be yourself. And when the time comes when you press record and it says 3, 2, 1, go ahead. It's all about you now. You have to be able to be comfortable still being yourself. Even when you have a guest who is way out of your league, that you're like, how the hell did I get this guy or gal? Right?
Yeah.
But they're there. And now how do you actually build a relationship, have this a real conversation and allow yourself to be yourself?
Amen. And I'm so glad to have you on because this is not where I was expecting the conversation to go. Because I did so much research beforehand. Okay, how can you, how can you do it right? What should you do? What should you not do? What are the biggest mistakes? And these are from the biggest podcasters out there. Nobody talks about what you just talked about. This is where your brilliance comes into play. Is they're all talking about, okay, you have to have the right mic, which is all important, right? But they're not talking about the essence of the experience that somebody is going to get when they're listening or watching this.
That's it.
And if you fuck that up, then everything else is going to be fucked up too,
Absolutely.
and I had people that were like, why are you calling this unfuck your legal marketing? And I'm like,
because I want to.
Because that's me though. That's authentically me. Like, my mom is probably turning over in her grave because she never swore. But, I even told my dad this. I was like, hey, Dad, I'm going to do a podcast. He's like, what are you going to call it? I go, unfuck your legal marketing. And he was like, what?
Love it.
No. He was like,
I know.
We don't speak that way. And I go, this guy does. Like, if you see right here, this was given to me by my GLA improvisers for Gary fucking Johnson, because that's authentically me though. But people know what to expect when they come on here.
Of course.
Exactly. Right. And so you're like, all right, I can be my Jersey Shore guy and I could swear because I know it's not going to offend the audience and I don't have to filter that and go, okay, what am I going to talk about? Oh, I got to leave this out.
I can't believe I fucking said that. Why did I say that? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and there are certain things that we're definitely going to edit out of this and it's going to be probably the most edited.
Mostly me. It's going to be you just talking to yourself.
Yeah. Because I'm like, that's not you. No, most of the inappropriate shit that nobody's ever going to hear. But those kind of things are just so valuable, not only to have a successful podcast, but I even think to get people over the anxiety that they have when they hit record, because it's so much pressure, right? Oh my God. Like, I felt it the very first time, and I had a good friend of mine who does 2 podcasts every freaking week, and you know who he is, Steve Fretzen. And I was like, I want you as my first guest. I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified,
For sure.
And was I holding back a little bit? Sure, but I was still being able to be authentically myself, but I still had that a little bit pull back, and I felt that the questions were a little too rehearsed or they were a little too monotone. And I don't want that. I mean, that's not me. Like, and I think you could agree. That's not you. We don't want those. We want it to be dynamic. We want it to be an experience somebody gets. And when they get that, like, and when you can have the courage because you've eliminated most of the anxiety, you're never going to eliminate all of it, but most of it, get you into action, then you start going after those key points of what's the model that I'm going to do? Who am I trying to really connect with? I don't want to bore them. Who are going to be my guests? And how can I be authentically myself? And then fucking hit record and start going. Then you're like, then you get on the damn phone and you call John. Like, you can tell John is a very open guy. Like, and that's the thing that I love about you is that you're you. You're always you. You're so consistently you. I'm not like, John's like, really fun guy today. And then holy shit, he's a boring motherfucker the next day. It's like, what John am I getting? You're consistent. We want that consistency. And that's so important in marketing and getting the word out is that consistency. Because if it's not consistency, they're like, I don't know. Then they start going away because it feels fake, and I just
Gary,
love that.
You know Chris King, right? You know Chris King?
Of course.
Of course.
He was a guest of mine. Yeah.
I'm sure he was. I'm sorry to hear that, by the way. So Chris taught me something that I never forget. And I knew it, but I didn't know how to put words to it, right? My job as a host or as a person with improvisers networking is not to inform people. It's to affect them.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. Because you can never inform someone. You can't inform the shit out of someone to make a decision, but you can affect them to do that. It's hard to ignore when you're affected. So even with I remember one time, I'll tell you another quick story about him. It's funny. I was in a provisors group and I'm doing my pitch and I'm not going to do it here. It was boring as shit. And he actually sent me a message. He goes, dude, that fucking sucked. That was awful. He goes,
that's Chris.
He goes, you're pissing me off. Right. And I'm like, So, so I'm like, he's actually right. And I started thinking about, I'm like, why do I do that for? Like, I'm just informing people. No one gives a shit. And so I went from this annoying and boring pitch to, would you rather double your downloads or double your referral sources? John Siracusa, founder of Listen Today. So like,
Yes.
that
Yes.
it makes difference, right? Like,
Totally does.
and so your job as a host is not to inform people. It's to affect them.
Yeah.
If you don't affect them, they don't give a shit. And if they don't give a shit, you're not going to inform them of anything.
So my last question for you is, why the fuck have you never asked me to be on your podcast, asshole?
Actually, I was going to unveil that right here, but you ruined it. You ruined it. You just ruined it. I was like, I'm going to do it. I have the courage to ask Gary, as long as he doesn't fuck it up by saying something like that and making me feel like shit. So now I feel like shit. So thank you.
Good. Hey, my job is done.
Yeah,
I want you to feel like shit, just like you made me feel like shit with all of my friends that you have on. And I'm like, what, am I not pretty enough?
Gary, let's just
Am
be
I
honest.
not bald enough?
How many friends do you really have? Honestly.
Two.
Right. So don't say all your friends, because I didn't have 2 episodes. I had 6.
Oh, I love it. Do you guys see why I love this guy so much? He's such a fucking douche. And I do wish that you were on the West Coast, because that would be a fun time.
Probably get in a lot of trouble as well. But you don't know. Maybe you meet me in person. You know what? This guy's fucking boring. I might be a boring person. Maybe I'm like, remember Forrest Gump, the guy's like shrimp and potatoes. That's what I do with podcasting. Like, I'm like, there's audio podcast, there's video podcast, there's podcasts. And then you get like, oh my God, dude, seriously, how are you so different in person?
Oh my God, yeah. I highly doubt that. Like, I actually hope soon you'll become a group leader, because then I get to see you in person once a year at the, the group leader summit. So,
well, now I know the reason why I'm not going to become a group leader.
Because somebody will hear that. Sorry.
No, because I have to see you once a year in person.
Fuck you. All right. See, I thought it was the other way. Like, no,
it wasn't that. It was the way that
it was way worse for me.
Yeah, it was way worse for you. Yeah. Just want to be clear.
John, thank you. Thank you for your time. You're such a fantastic guest, and if you do want to get a hold of John, I'm going to put all of his contact information, follow him, listen to his stuff, but really have the courage to just reach out to him. If you're like, hey, I think I should, just reach out to him, have a conversation with him, because as you can tell, he's brilliant. He's creative. He knows what he's doing. He has so much experience, 5,000 freaking episodes. I still can't wrap my head around that, but reach out to him. The guy is brilliant. And thank you for all your great information on this. It really has been so informative for me, just personally, but I know it's been so informative for the audience. So thank you.
Gary, thank you.
Truly a good friend.
You made it very easy for me to have this conversation, so I appreciate it. Well, you actually know your shit too.
Fuck no. Yeah, don't say that. Don't start saying nice things, because
no, I'm expecting you to pay me for that shit. I'm expecting you to pay me. This is the first time where the host pays the guest.
There we go. Oh,
yeah,
that would be good. Yeah,
it would be great. Yeah, I'll give him my address.
Okay. Yeah, send it over to me. I'll the check will be in the mail, so you can count on it.
Oh yeah, terrific, awesome. I can't wait.
Hi, buddy. All right. Talk soon. That's it for today's episode of Unfuck Your Legal Marketing. If you got a spark of inspiration, learned something new, or at least got a good laugh, make sure to follow, rate, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Thanks for hanging out with me, and remember, the best marketing is the one that actually sounds like you. See you next time.